Working alongside teenagers and young people, RNZFB child and family worker Gary Venstra shares some of his experiences. This is a Blends Information for Families video.
Actually, it quite often changes when they go into puberty and teenage stage. That's when the young person becomes my client direct. I have to say I thoroughly enjoyed it. Again, that's about establishing a trusting relationship. And think about it, how easy is it to establish a trusting relationship with a rebellious teenager? Yeah, so there's a huge challenge in that. There's a wonderful challenge in that. And because I'm not a parent, um, there's a uniqueness in it for me. Although I'm very honest with the young person I'm working with, sometimes some of my parenting skills come in there, and I tell them about it. I said, if I'm going to work with you, excuse me, on some issues for you as a vision impaired or blind person, I can't help sometimes bringing some of my parenting skills in there. So you'll have to put up with it. But you can tell me about it, really. But it's also very much is about communication. It's feeling part of it. It's a sense of belonging, which when you are below 10, you get from the people around you. Often the school is very supportive, but then when that sense comes in like, hey, I am a teenager and groups around me become more judgmental and the people around me become more judgmental, and I can't pick up all that facial information, and therefore I don't know exactly what's expected or what is not expected, what I should say or what I shouldn't say, and therefore some isolation creeps in. That's when it becomes really pertinent probably to do some work around it. And it's also to then develop a language that you can use to overcome that. Because if you can't see and you need to build bridges, the only skill that you have is language. You need to use language, which is pretty scary if you're 15 years old, 14 or 15 years old, because you don't want to make a fool of yourself. You want to use the right language. It's very different than when you're 25. I always compare it with if I'm 25 and I can't see and I stand in a lift with a person who's 25 years old too and wears a nice perfume and I say, you smell nice, that person is likely going to say thank you. But if I'm 15 and I can't see very well and I stand in a lift with another 15-year-old and who wears a nice perfume and I say, you smell nice, that person is likely going to say to me, dork, what do you want? Because that's the generational difference when I'm 14 or 15. And it's a huge issue for many people, that sense of belonging, that being part of a group, that peer support, which suddenly disappears and you're on your own. And to conquer it, and to be prepared to bang your head against the wall, and to have 8 misses out of 10, but also have 2 successes, really, and how to build on those, and how to take from those, and how to learn from those, and how to move on with the information that you get from those two to make life better for yourself, and to establish a social circle or a social environment where you can be who you want to be. Hugely important. I think for the past 7, 8 years we've run a youth group of teenagers, and yes, they're all visually impaired or totally blind, but it is to bring them in from around 12, 13, depending on your level of maturity, and give them the opportunity to interact with people in a similar situation. It's had huge benefits from, for us, facilitating first the whole setup and the structure. Now 7, 8 years later, we just need to organize a day and a time, and for people to get there, and that's it. They work it out themselves. They tell us what they want to do. We don't have to introduce, we don't have to be formal. They immediately connect and practice with their skills, and there's a natural process in usually when they go to university they stay for a few more times and then they'll disappear because they found a level of confidence and they can practice it and use it with other young people that they've met, so there is no longer a need for the youth group anymore. And the same for young people. Often parents ask, when can my child come and attend? We have to be careful about the numbers, really, so that we try to stick to a maximum of around 10. But so far, that works really well, and it's a great place with a sense of belonging. And from it, people make contact with each other. They start to text, they start to email. One of the present people developed a website for the youth group so people can check in with each other. And so it's a social environment where you can practice your skills, where you can find your level of confidence, and with that then branch out into the cycle world. I think it's a great tool, and it's proven itself, and doesn't cost anything either. It's just a really cheap way of bringing skills, bringing socialization to young people that are blind or that can't see, and let them practice with it. The foundation has several camps for young people from the ages of 7, 8 years old, for the similar purpose. Although there is a structure, although there are activities, I would think the main thing is for what happens before the activities and after the activities. Yeah, the activities can be a good skill when it comes to team building, right? Working together, really. How do I share my space with others? How issues like patience and all that come in there, but the before and after, where you interact with others, where you share with others, where you find other people in a similar situation, or who think like you, or have an experience like you, sometimes live in a family like yours, really, and the communication around that. And it builds friendship, and it's not a friendship that makes you then only stick with a person that can't see very well for the rest of your lives. It just helps you to find your level of confidence, and to find your level of communication, and to find your language skills, all these things that you can use to become the adult that you really want to be in life.
Many thanks to Gary Venstra and the RNZFB. You can find more ideas, information and stories at blends.school.nz.